Hello and welcome back to Princess Evangile. The door finally opened and a voice said, "Come out." "Messiah-san!" You guys... As I walked out into the hallway, I was surprised to see my friends gathered there. "Are you okay? Did they do anything awful to you?" They all crowded around me. "Yeah, no, I'm fine." I laughed just a little. "Really? What's so funny?" "No, you're all acting so worried. It was like they thought I'd been roughed up or something." "Well, we are worried." Ah. The tears welled up in my eyes. I was starting to feel a little shaken up. "They had you packed away in that tiny little room, even though they hadn't even heard the whole story." "That's right. I was worried about you too." "Chio. It sounded like the Jardin were really hard on you." "Okinogi Messiah, come with me. The chairwoman has asked to see you." And without waiting for my answer, the Jardin turned on her heel. Wonder what she wants. "Obviously she wants to hear your side of the story." "Ah, right." "I don't doubt you in the slightest, Messiah-san. I'll be your only ally, no matter what." "My san. Don't say one and only, I feel the same way." Yes. Well, it's just an expression after all." "Messiah, we had a misunderstanding when I first saw you again. But no worries this time, I trust you." "Chio." "Me too." "And me. I do as well. So do I." "Goo!" I had to press a hand to my forehead to hold back my tears, and I was so grateful for their kindness. In the year before I came to Venice's, no one would have ever put their faith in me like this. I was so afraid of the debt collectors that I never tried to interact with anyone. So I spent my days alone. But now it was different. When I was locked away in that cramped little room, I'd started to feel anxious about what was going to happen. But when I looked around at my friends' faces, I started to believe that it would work out somehow. Oh, on a personal level, I feel the same way, but sorry to say, as a reporter, I have to remain neutral. This insistence that reporters are neutral again. Despite her usual joking manner, Tammy-san was dead serious. "But I promise, I'm going to publish the truth of this incident, no matter what." "The truth? I hope that you do." "It sounds like you do." That's a load off my mind. "What are you doing? Hurry up!" The Jardin looked back at me from around the corner. "Well, let's go. It's time for a showdown." "Right. Yet you're doomed in this school." I reached the headmistress's office, where she and the chairwoman sat, along with Marika-san, who for some reason was passed out on the sofa. "I'm worried. Maybe I should bring the partition after all." As we entered, the headmistress spoke to the chairwoman without sparing me a glance. "Partition? Her terror at facing the perpetrator of a crime could exacerbate her trauma." "I don't think that will be necessary." "Don't you? The poor thing. The shock of your accusation caused her to pass out." "Don't worry, Madam Headmistress. We are here. The moment he shows the slightest impropriety, we'll have him back in custody." "Very well." The headmistress nodded, but she didn't look reassured. Perhaps she just wanted the excuse to complain. At the sound of her voice, Marika-san opened her eyes and sat up. And when she realised I was standing there, her eyes went wide. "Marika, are you alright? If you're afraid, I can have the partition brought in." "Marika?" No, I'm fine." She tried to stand, but the headmistress stopped her with a hand. "Please, remain seated. Now, everyone. I have decided to permit this Inquisition because you insisted. But what exactly do you plan to accomplish?" "You know what? We're going to make it clear whether it happened or not." "It? Are you referring to the attempted assault?" "What else could I be referring to?" "Then the answer is very obvious. The incident clearly happened." "And how can you be so certain?" "I could say the same to you. Upon what basis do you claim that it did not happen?" "Madam Headmistress, the White Lily Society obviously enough, but Ritsuko and Konomi of the Red Rose too, have interacted with Messiah-san." "That is how I can be so certain. The time we've spent together is my basis." "You're making this a matter of trustworthiness? You think that Student Council President Marika and Okanogi Masaya would balance on the scales? It's absurd. It is true that Marika-sama was elected Student Council President by the will of the students. I'm going back to quoting quotes about politics time. This one from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Any man capable of getting himself elected galactic president should on no account be permitted to do the job. Love that quote. Then you should realise that she would never lie about... However, Rai-san spoke, interrupting the headmistress, I also believe that Marika-sama is not infallible. She can choose the wrong path. That is what it means to be human. And I believe we learned that in religious morality class. Tell me something, Marika-sama. Did this incident really happen? Of course it did. Really? Yes. Do you swear that you are not lying? I swear it. To whom? To whom? To whom do you swear? Without a basis, then how can we... She is swearing to God, of course. The headmistress snapped out the words. Rai-san ignored her. I hate to do this, but objection, you are badgering the witness. Sorry, I mean, if we're making this even slightly trial-based, that is witness badgering. You're not supposed to do that. Are you a Christian, Marika-sama? Be quiet. I will be handling the questions now. Okanogi Masaya. Yes, Mom? Did this happen or not? Answer me clearly. It didn't happen. Then your arguments are the same. The headmistress, for some reason, let out a triumphant laugh. The Gospel of Matthew chapter 7 said, Judge not. That is of course correct, but as God's kingdom has not yet come, we must accept a reality in which things do not always proceed righteously. In reality, humans must judge others. Who then should be the judge? Rice, who could judge this matter in a way that would satisfy you? Huh? You do love public opinion, the consensus of the students. If we were to put this matter to their judgment, you would be satisfied, wouldn't you? No, because I'd get lynched. I realised then the source of the headmistress's triumph. I'd managed to acquire some support, but my chances against Marika-san were low. So who was lying? Only the two of us knew the truth. Like the judgment of Pilate, eh? Will it be Jesus who is liberated, or Barbarous? I am not pleased with your comparing to Christ, but yes, that is more or less it. And that would make you Caiaphas, the man who led the crowd to that sinful decision, wouldn't it? Say what you will. There is no one who will dispute the results of a vote. Wait a minute. Do you even have any proof? Proof? You know, like fluids or something? Okay, this is attempted... Hang on. I've been done for attempted assault, not attempted rape. They're actually different crimes. They've said assault, not sexual assault. Now, don't get me wrong, they're both very, 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 very bad things, but because I am a bit of a pedant at times, can I get some clarification of what I'm being done for? Am I getting done for assault or sexual assault? The headmistress turned to Marika-san, seemingly unconsciously. Marika-san was hunched over the couch, looking small indeed. Marika, is it true if you have proof it will silence all other objections? Do you? No, I do not. It was only attempted after all. I see. Then it seems the burden of proof is on your side then. Oh no. Mother, asking to prove something that did not happen is probato diabolica. It can't be done. It was Rice who brought up the subject of proof. This is why I was proposed leaving the judgment to the students. Then that is that, isn't it, Madam Chairwoman? In the end, she never answered. I can't stand it. The headmistress controlled the whole conversation from beginning to end. Rai-san barked in irritation as we left the room. I was permitted to return to my room for now, but I walked with Jardin in front of me and one behind. Felt like a prisoner's escort. That's because it's a prisoner's escort, but Masaya, just pointing that out there. She really is as sharp as ever, though. She's a real snake, isn't she? Ayaka, that is no way to speak about the headmistress. Oh, but I'm not talking about headmistress. I'm talking about my mother. We left the empty school building and went outside. And as if in defiance of the clamour outside, the night was quiet. The building stood here and there, silhouetted against the darkness, and it felt bleak and foreboding, in a way that it never did during the day. I wonder if everyone else knows what happened. They sure do. Information travels across Venice's network faster than the speed of light. I see. That's the job of the news club, after all. To report information to the whole school, so I think it's going to be hard to beat the headmistress on this one. Then, what are we going to do? Hey, Ryuko-san, what should we do? You have an idea, don't you? Ryuko-san seemed quite on the ball about things. This time she just turned her eyes down slightly. Obviously we have to find proof. Proof? But that's gonna be pretty hard. It's like Ritsuko said. Yes, which means that our only remaining option is to get Marika-sama to admit the truth. That's gonna be hard too. Well, we'll talk it out tomorrow. Until then, let's try to think of a plan. Right. Got it. Understood. Understood. Roger? Sure. You're still following me? Of course. We'll also be standing guard in front of your door. I was under house arrest as well. I wasn't allowed to leave my room in the dorm. I managed to avoid expulsion once before, but things weren't looking good this time. I kept faith that it would work out, though. I recognise that he's back on house arrest, but he will be allowed counsel, won't he? Counsel? Masai-san is a suspect. That makes us his lawyers. You can't deny the right of man to speak to his defence. I will check with the headmistress. We'd gathered in my room and I turned to face the others. Thank you, everyone. Knowing that I have allies, it makes me feel a lot better. Sure. It is good to have allies, even in a tournament. It's most exciting to fight as a group. I wouldn't know, actually. I've never done large-scale group combat. I would be quite interested to be fair. The closest I've ever done was a 2-on-2 match, which is very interesting because, you know, if you're paired up with... So I was fairly lucky to be paired up with somebody who was actually really good. So all I really had to do was hold my own until my companion beat his opponent, and then we focused our attention on the one remaining person, which was very interesting. Admittedly, in a similar one-on-one bout, I did end up against him and somebody else, and I did end up fighting alone against both of them, and, well, yeah, I lost hilariously, but it is very interesting trying to fight multiple opponents at once. Because all the manuals basically teach you how to take on one opponent at a time. But they do say that you can use these techniques against multiple opponents. Because there's actually a line from the book Starship Troopers by Robert Heinlein, which I strongly disagree with its politics, but it is a very interesting book to read. But there's one point where they're commenting on the fact that if two people have not been specifically trained to work together, when in combat, they're actually usually more of a hindrance to each other than a help, especially against someone who is trained properly. But although I will be assisting his defence in this incident, I am still a member of the Red Rose Society, and as such... Oh, give it a rest. It's okay to relax your principles at times like these. Yes, that is true as well. Even if he is a transfer student, Masaya-san is a part of Venice's. We should drive ourselves only when the situation requires. We should divide ourselves only when the situation requires it. And as she spoke, Ryuko-san took Ritsuko-chan's hand. Join me, all of you. Of course. And we all put our hands together once more. Everyone, we're going to give everything we have to save Masaya-san. Right. Yeah. Yes. Yes? Let us do our best. They're boned. At the moment, they've got exactly one chance, which is appealing to her own conscience. Because her conscience is screwed at the moment. She knows she's done the wrong thing and she hates herself for it. You know, you've got to appeal to that side of her, otherwise you don't have a hope in hell. The next day, the school was swimming with rumours about the incident. Of what she could make out, it sounded like the overwhelming majority trusted Marika. In fact, she heard no voices in support of Messiah. Maybe my ears are just going bad. She tugged at her earlobe as she thought about it, but, well, that seemed unlikely to improve things. She'd expected this to be the case, but seeing the reality with her own eyes was a shock. This is bad. Must be because I'm getting nervous. This isn't like you, Rise. The battle's only just started. But despite her words, she couldn't clear out her sense of anxiety. If they held the vote now, they would lose. She couldn't deny that. Maybe it's for the best that Messiah-san is under house arrest. People might accuse him directly, and exposing him to the rumours would just depress her. She could hear them even now. There's no getting around it. I guess that's just how men are. Yes, you're right. Men are all beasts. It's just like the headmistress said. What are they talking about? He's been their classmate for over 3 months. How could they say that about him? Normally, Rise wouldn't be afraid to voice her thoughts, but she remained cautious today. When I read that last article in the newspaper, I started wondering if something like this might happen. Last article? You know, when he beat up that peeping Tom. Why's that? I've just never seen him so scary before. Violence and assault? They're not that far apart. I see. They're completely far apart. Yeah, for the record, I have violent streaks in my personality. Why do you think I enjoy, medieval sword fighting so much? But there is a big difference between me enjoying, effectively fairly friendly combat. Let's face it, we laugh more often than we, scream at each other in rage. In fact, I don't think we've ever screamed at each other in rage. In fact, interesting side note, we actually had the worst injury we've had for quite a long time at our session last Wednesday, where 2 of our members who are now scholars, so they're up to their additional weapons, were practicing some poleaxe. And there was a slight stabbing incident, and one guy basically stabbed his partner through the foot. And when I said partner, I'm pretty sure they're married. They're definitely a couple at the very least. But yes, and he accidentally stabbed her through the foot. And do you know what? They giggled about it, put a plaster on it, and got right back on with it. Now, I'm probably giving you a pretty horrific image when I say stabbed through the foot. I mean, pierced skin, but not much worse than that. That's the worst injury we've had for quite a while, actually. But, let's face it. As long as you can laugh about it, it's fine. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate there's a big difference between that kind of violence, which is very controlled and very safe, and jumping on a guy and punching him repeatedly in the face. But there's a hell of a big leap from that to assault. There's a big difference between a fight and attacking someone who can't or won't defend themselves. So yeah, this game really likes forcing me to, get out my big book of morals, doesn't it? Yes, Richard's Big Book of Morals, Volume 1. Can I just go back to criticising the fashion, please? That was so much nicer. But there were more people linking the 2 incidents than expected. By the break of dawn the next day, another problem had come out. It wasn't just Marika's popularity they were fighting. People doubting Messiah's very character. Even though I was sure that would work in our favour. The best people are the ones who face the most persecution. It's been that way since biblical times. Rise remained sullen and silent all day. There was a part of her that just wanted to ask directly. She would stand at the lectern, bang on the blackboard while glaring at a classmate, and she would ask, "Why do you trust Marika-sama but not Messiah-san?" But I couldn't possibly do that, though. She could try it, but, well, she wouldn't get anything but funny looks for her trouble. And then she would lose, and Rise didn't want to fight a battle that she knew she would lose. Following Sun Tzu's principle. Good idea. That's right. Messiah-san has to win this. No, he has to be made to win. I have to make him win. She corrected herself offhandedly. What am I saying? What's wrong with me? Of course I don't have to do all this by myself. Anyway, this was no time to be worried about that. What matters was that she had to win. She had stayed up late in the night thinking, and when she awoke she was slumped over her desk, the morning sun streaming over her cheek. And the shortest path to a solution was to get Marika to admit the truth. But realistically speaking, that would not be easy. Which meant she would have to tackle the problem sidelong, even if it meant taking the long way around. She wasn't usually a fan of underhand tactics, but the subject of that one was close to her heart. Chef de corps, Mitsuki-san, former best friend. How she had longed for them to smile at each other, like they had so long ago. This might be her last chance to make that happen. In Masaya-san's absence, the fire has gone out of me. Riku-san, you're making too much of it. Is he really that important? But I really do miss him. You've felt depressed as well, haven't you, Chio-san? I just didn't get enough sleep last night. I was up all night thinking after all. Yes, I feel sleepy as well. Perhaps because I usually maintain such a strict routine. How was the atmosphere in your class? Not good, you know. Yes. I see. The same as mine, then. What about yours, Ayaka-sama? Bad. They're all holding up that newspaper from the Peeping Tom incident. All, that's the kind of man he is. Really, what kind of man do they mean? I see. Ritsuko? It was a similar experience. Was it the same for you, Konomi? Yes. I see. Well, we expected this. It's frustrating to agree with the headmistress, but the school seems to be trending anti-Masaya again. Alright, who has a surefire plan to recover our lost ground? Rise looked around for hands, and Ayaka's went up. It's not exactly a plan, but it's something I'm wondering about. Does Masaya-kun have a girlfriend? Huh? You're his childhood friend, Chio. Maybe you would know. Does he have one? All eyes turned to Chio. She slumped over. Well, before he said he doesn't, so... I see. Part of me was relieved, and part's disappointed. What do you mean? Well, if he had a girlfriend, he wouldn't attack some woman he doesn't care for, would he? I know Marika's beauty and all, but... well, that would be circumstantial, would it? At least be evidence. If he doesn't have one, then... well, then... maybe I should nominate myself. I think doing it now would eliminate the point. Well, fine, I get it. It's just a joke. Don't glare at me like that. I'm shocked that you would think it's the time for jokes. It all just looked so gloomy. Good things come to those they laugh, as they say. But that joke wasn't funny at all. Really? Oh, I see. Well then, are there any other ideas? Yes? Go ahead. It would be difficult without Marika-sama's cooperation, but yes? No! Enough with this goddamn stupid plan, Konomi! It was a bad plan before, it's a bad plan now. Stop it! We should see if Masaya-sama's thing reacts to her. Ugh. What the heck? Oh, I just felt a draft. The others all looked at Konomi in shock, but Konomi was extremely serious. What? The reaction of his thing? The reaction! Yes, I'm aware of what you mean, but... Konomi, that's a disgraceful thing for a Philly Divinicist to say. Now, I think it sounds interesting. Exactly what kind of plan did you have in mind? Well, for example, we could have Marika-sama remove her clothes. Oh my. The other day, I learned about the sexual arousal that men feel around naked women. If his lower half doesn't respond to her, then that'll be the perfect proof. A lot of that's in context, for the record. You know, for example, and I'm about to pick one of the creepiest possible examples you can. I was actually watching a film called Copycat at the weekend, which is from 87, 88, something like that. We did actually look it up because we were curious. Which is basically about a psychopathic murderer killing a lot of people. You know, he's a serial killer. And at one point in the film, you see some photos of a woman who's been murdered and left naked at the side of... Is it the side of the road? Whatever. And I can tell you, that is not in the least bit sexually arousing. Nudity is not always sexually arousing. It's all about context, Konomi. You really got to learn that point. I really did just pick the creepiest possible example I could, couldn't I? What do you think? I'm not so sure about this. It could work. If only we could get Marika-sama to take off her clothing. Are you serious? That really is the question. But I don't think that's a pretty high hurdle for Masaya-kun to pass. Do you think so? Well, of course it's going to react, isn't it? We've been asking the impossible from him. That is true. It was an unrealistic plan, no matter how they sliced it. Rise asked for another suggestion. I thought that perhaps we could find another eyewitness somehow. Would it really be impossible? It's true. If there is one, we would like for her to come forward. That person might also be on the side of hoping to see Masaya-sama driven out. In that case, it would be difficult to pull reliable testimony from them, wouldn't it? That is true. I was thinking that our only choice might be to persuade them straight. But I guess that's impossible, right? It comes down to time. He's been given another 3-day deferral, which includes the day of the incident. So the vote is tomorrow. It doesn't seem possible. I thought so. Too bad. Now the headliner takes the stage. Oh, that's a big build-up. You must have a bright idea. There is an old work entitled Crying Out Love at the Centre of the World. Huh? That's not gonna work either. Are these people all idiots? They have exactly one chance. Get Marika to admit the truth. They have exactly one hope of making that happen. Play on her guilty conscience. A half-decent lawyer could tell you this. Let him have it cry out, Ruiko, I love you! What is going on? It's not even cold and I'm sneezing like crazy. Are they implying he's sneezing every time one of these girls has a really stupid idea? The people will be so moved by his declaration of love that all their doubts will be swept away. Be that as it may, why would it be for you? It's just an example, of course. For the real thing, he should confess his love for the girl he cares for. That sounds interesting. I wonder who Masaya-kun cares for. Wait a minute, we're getting off point here. Oh well, I guess I'll let the real headliner take the stage now. This is rather rooted in my own personal thoughts, but... Your personal thoughts? It's about Chef de Corps, Mitsuki-san. I believe you're all aware that Mitsuki-san and I used to be best friends. And the group all nodded. The rift that came between us occurred when we entered final course. What happened? Directly, nothing. It wasn't a fight or anything like that. So it just happened. Rai shook her head. There was an impetus. It was the change of Mitsuki-san's title to Chef de Corps. I believe that you'd also heard she was previously known as Lame de Lune. Ah yes, the Tear of the Moon, right? Matches her name and that beauty mark her eye really well. Yes. When Mitsuki-san entered final course, she fell head over heels for Marika-sama. Even now I feel crushed thinking about it, watching a friend slowly drift away. I can be extremely stubborn, so I decided that if that was how it was going to be, then I would do the same. And so gradually a rift formed between us. It was like that all of last year, but then this year when Masaya-sama came, things began to change. Things started to feel like they were back to normal. She was still Chef de Corps, of course, but I was happy. I sensed that as well. We were seeing quite a bit of Mitsuki-san for a time. Yes, but lately that's all changed again. Right, Ritsuko? Right, that to me seems like a reasonable-ish point to end this video as we contemplate how utterly and totally boned we are. So, I will say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next part.